It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome, welcome. It's the Jill on Money show. Yup, it's January. I know you're getting the kinks out. I get it. It's 2023, gang. And what are you doing differently this year? What is going to be your next best financial decision? How are you going to manage what's going on in your life? Are there big changes? Are there no changes? Could you just do a little bit better? We would like to help you figure that out. We is me and Mark Talercio, the best executive producer in the world. And just so happens he's also the master of everything that is Jill on Money. So when you go to our website, jillonmoney.com, that's really the handiwork of Mark. So everything from the free weekly newsletter that you can sign up for to just the way everything looks and is organized, it's all Mark. And if you have a financial question, all you need to do is click the Contact Us button. It's in the upper right-hand corner. Ask your question. And if you'd like to join us on the air live, click that little box. Mark will do the rest. Right now, let us start the program off with Lynn from California. Hello, Lynn. How are you and how can we help you out today?
Hi, Jill, and hi, Mark. Thanks for having me on. And I guess you could file this under hashtag first world problems, but I'm grateful for your advice. So my husband and I recently bought a new house. I think this was a COVID-inspired larger house. We have 2 young kids. We were quarantined with them in a tiny house working from home for a long time. So pretty typical story in our part of the world here. Mm-hmm. And now we have the proceeds from the sale of our first house. And we're trying to figure out how to allocate that in a way that makes sense. We do need to invest a significant amount into the new house to kind of make it what we want it to be. But we're still looking at having about $75,000 in cash left over and looking for some options and advice for what to do with that.
Tell us how much the new house cost.
About $900,000.
Okay. And what is the mortgage that's outstanding on it?
About $620,000.
What's the interest rate?
About 3%.
Great. Fantastic. And you mentioned a husband and 2 kids. How old are the kids?
4 and 7.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah. And how old are you and your husband?
We're both 43.
All right. In the heat of it, will these kids go to public school? Is that where are they in the public school system now?
Indeed.
Okay, good. Tell us about your income. How much do you guys earn together?
We're at about $275 combined.
Are you guys making contributions into retirement plans through work?
Yes. We are both maxing out our 457s and 403Bs respectively.
Oh, okay. So we have some public service action here. It sounds like you're both potentially working in jobs where you would have pensions?
Correct.
Okay. Tell us about the pensions and when they can kick in.
For me, earliest would be 55, and for my spouse, 62.
Okay. I mean, is that the game plan where it's like, okay, let's get these kids educated and let's get, and like, do you think of 55 or do you think, oh, no, I'm going to keep doing this for a while?
Actually, maybe go do something else and then come back to government and retire. So unsure, but probably not just nose to the grindstone until hitting retirement age.
Okay, understood. Tell us about how much money you've saved so far in the retirement accounts.
For my spouse, he's at about $240 combined. Some of that's in a Roth IRA. And for me, I think I'm closer to $300, I believe.
And when you contribute into the 457 and the 403Bs, are those Roth or are those pre-tax?
They are pre-tax.
Okay, got it. And how about your emergency reserve fund? Because you said you've got the house proceeds and, you'll spend some money, but there's $75,000. Is that in addition to the money you've already have that's set aside for safe stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have about $40K just in cash. And then we've got a couple of brokerages, I think each are probably about 45.
Okay. And is that fun money?
Fine money.
I like it. I like it. Okay. 529 plans for kids?
Yes, we've got those, and for the older kid is about 50, and the younger kid about 25 so far.
Wow. And you're going to promise me they stay in the California state system because it's a good system?
That would be my plan. But you know how best laid plans for children go.
Oh, brother. I don't, thank God, because my four-legged children usually stick to their game plans. So let's talk a little bit about these brokerage accounts. How are you managing them now? Like you said, there's 45 grand in each of them or combined?
Yeah, each.
Each. Okay. So what are you doing right now? And why not just throw the 75 grand into one of these accounts?
Yeah, that's kind of the default plan, I suppose. They're pretty much index funds.
Mm-hmm.
Another option I thought for that extra money would be maybe super funding the 529s, and then just forgetting about them. Going to need a new vehicle here probably is another consideration in the next 2 to 3 years.
Here's the other thing. These kids are young, right? And there is the possibility that, in the next few years, let's say 3 or 5 years from now, you might have more information about your own lives and your earnings. And maybe you'd rather have the money in brokerage for now until you sort of see where things go. I'm not so keen on popping that money in the 529 plan. I would be fine with it if you were just like, yeah, that would give me relief to know that was done. But you have to measure where you'll find the greatest relief, right? These are emotional questions. This is Jill on life, not Jill on money right now talking, which is if you feel more emotionally secure saying, we have $165,000 in non-retirement funds or, non-qualified accounts, that gives me comfort. If I want to put more money in the 529, I can. You can choose to do that later. And if that gives you more comfort than having the college stuff funded, then I think you should preserve that option. I really do. What's option 3?
So option 3 is we could, and I think I know what you're going to say about this because longtime listener, but we could recast the mortgage without penalty. We could throw a chunk at the mortgage just to lower the monthly payments.
Do you want the sound effect on that right now? Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Bah. No, definitely not. If you want security and optionality, you cannot do that. That's just a terrible idea. Then I'm going to say to you,
I needed to hear that.
Yeah, no way, because that completely upends your flexibility. That's ridiculous, because what you're doing is essentially saying like, oh, okay, well, what I'll do then is I'll have like years shaved off my mortgage, but I'm stuck in this job. Because you won't have any little nest egg to fall back on. So no, definitely.
Yeah, you lower the monthly payment in the recast, but you keep the term.
Nah,
so it's flexibility in a different way, but I know what you're saying.
No, I wouldn't do that. Well, you have maximum flexibility keeping the money in this account. You got it. It's all yours. No, definitely not. How about life insurance and estate planning?
Yeah, we're all taken care of there.
Nice. Very good. We'll get back to more of your questions. It's Jill on Money.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. And if you've got a financial question, we'd love to hear from you. All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button and let us know if you would be willing to come on the air live. Mark does everything else. While you are on the website, oh my gosh, you can pre-order my new book. It's coming out in just a couple weeks. It's called The Great Money Reset. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. This is essentially the book that all of you actually inspired. So thank you in advance for that. And thank you in advance for pre-ordering it, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a big event coming up for anyone who does pre-order. So be sure that you do that. Okay, so let's get back to your financial questions. Next up is Brett, who's on the line from New York. So what's on your mind? How can we help you out?
Spending a lot of time over the last couple of weeks just looking at my overall long-term financial plan goals, and I'm beginning to get a bit disheartened over not having enough money set aside to send my kids to an in-state 4-year public institution. I feel like my wife and I are doing all the right things, making all the right decisions, and in some cases, some sacrifices right now. And to think that, we're not going to be able to meet that probably around $400,000 savings goal in a 10-year period of time is driving me nuts. And I just wanted to check in and see if maybe I was over worrying about this and maybe I am on track. I figured I'd go to the experts.
Okay. Well, Brett, how old are you and how old is your wife?
We're both 40 years old.
How old are the kids?
7 and 5.
How much is in-state New York? What's SUNY cost these days?
One projected cost that I saw, it's anywhere between $23,000 and like $26,000.
Let's say $25,000 a year. Okay, very good. How much do you guys earn?
$270,000 in gross income.
Do you put money into retirement accounts?
We fully fund a 403B. We fully fund a Roth IRA, and we contribute about $500 a month to a brokerage account.
A brokerage account. Is there any money in 529 plans? Because you do get a nice New York State deduction for that.
To this point, in the combined total, $57,000 in both accounts.
Calm down. Jeez Louise, you're crazy. You're making yourself nuts. You're absolutely making yourself crazy for no reason. I'm going to tell you that right now. Tell me about the house. How much is it worth?
The house was just appraised at $530,000. I think that's way too much and more of a reflection of the last couple of years.
What's the outstanding mortgage?
The mortgage is $280,000 remaining, and we refinanced to a 15-year mortgage at 2.5%.
I'm not going to tell you to refinance it, but you just screwed yourself by doing that. I just want you to know that, by doing 15-year and not a 30-year, because now your cash flow is constrained. So it's done, and we're not going to tell you to change it. How much money is in the 403B? How much is in the Roth IRA? And how much is in the brokerage account?
One 403B has $140,000. The other has $100,000. The Roths have $20,000 and $12,000. And the brokerage account has about $7,000.
Right now, do you have any debt besides the mortgage?
No.
Any other assets that I should know about? Rental property, anything like that?
No.
And how about an emergency reserve fund?
So we have about $110,000 of liquidity right now because we're planning on doing some necessary home improvements in the next 1-3 years.
Okay, so you got the home improvements, you've got a new car, and what's the actual amount you'll be spending out of that 110 in the near term?
The emergency fund I will not let drop below $30,000.
So let's just review. Brett and his wife are 40 years old. They've got 2 kids who are 7 and 5. Own a home with a 15-year mortgage. The house is worth about $500,000. There's an outstanding mortgage balance of $280,000, a 15-year at 2.5%. They got a bunch of money in cash right now, but a lot of it's going to be spent down on home repairs, home improvements, and a car. They're both educators, and they make about $270,000 a year together. They put money in their 403B and a Roth IRA. So there's just about $250,000 in their 403Bs together, $240,000. Their Roth IRAs have about $30,000. They've got a brokerage account with $7,000. They've got a 529 with $57,000. Mark, the last part of this, the pension estimate, how'd you feel about that? Did you feel a little jealous about that, Mark?
I couldn't quite catch it. Was it $80,000?
$80,000 to $90,000 a year combined. And that doesn't even include Social Security. How long will you work? Till what age do you think?
Sorry, Jill, I just want to clarify. $80,000 to $90,000 each of us.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So about $160,000 combined in pension.
$160,000 combined in pension. Okay, so now let's have another. And when do you think you'll work until? What's the retirement goal? Like get the kids through school, or what do you think?
I found a great school district that I love, but I have a horrible commute every day. So my plan is to be finished teaching at 56 years old, which will be my 30 years of service. And then the reason I created or contributed to the brokerage account is so that I have a bridge account between the year 56 and 59 years old to supplement my income so I can then draw from my other accounts at 59 and a half.
You won't even need that. Come on. I mean, and what about your wife? Was she going to work till about the same time?
I don't know. She's not as quick to go as I am because her commute isn't as bad. Let her decide at that time,
And how much do you guys spend a year?
We live on about anywhere between $10,000 and $13,000 per month.
You're fine. Why are you stressing out? You're going to have 160 grand. I know that's gross, but you'll have 160 grand and then you'll have Social Security and you'll have your retirement accounts. You're fine. Why are you freaking out?
The 57,000 that's in the 529s now, what are you guys doing? Are you doing regular contributions on a monthly basis?
We contribute $250 a month to each account every month.
This is not a problem. I don't know why you're driving yourself crazy. You'll be able to pay this. You will be able to pay this. You'll be able to pay this. Okay. Mark, how do you feel about pulling back on the 403B a little bit?
Well, yeah, I would, because they're putting $500 a month in. So that's $6,000 a year. In New York State, you get the write-off $10,000. So I would at least pull back on the 403B to get another $4,000 in there each year.
Pull back on the 403B and keep contributing to the brokerage account. And don't worry so much about the 403B right now. I know what you're going to tell me. You're going, I'm in a high tax state. I know. We got to just deal what we got to deal with, right? So use the 529 and let's get $10,000 into these plans and stop stressing out. You're in great shape. The thing that you would be stressed out about is if you didn't have those pensions. And then I'd say to you, too bad on the kids, you cannot fund them. But you can fund these kids. You can fund this 529 strategy. Are you feeling less stressed when we tell you this?
I am. My follow-up question would be, one rule of thumb I know is never put your own retirement lifestyle at risk in an effort to fund your kids' college. So by pulling back on the 403B, does that mean less income for us?
No, I'll tell you what. Yes, it does mean less income, but you have a pension. And you know what? At 56, here's what I would say. Every teacher I know who retires in their 50s does a little something on the side. You don't have to commute, but you could figure out a way to do a little something, whether it is a tutoring or it's a this or a that. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll do something else. Again, you have to tell me, how important is it to send your kids away to be able to afford this? If it's driving you crazy, then you'll have a little less money in your retirement account. You're not going to forego anything. You'll be fine. You will be fine. Between 56 and 59 and a half, what you're going to do is, who knows? It's a long time from now, okay? So I'm not saying you should commute for all those years. I'm just saying that, you might say, you know what? I'll get another job for a few years in between. It'll help my cash flow. That could be just all you need to do, honestly. If you have a question about college funding, we'd love to help you out. All you need to do is go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. We'll get you on the air. It's Jill on Money, and we'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. Now, I know for a lot of you listening, the stories are really interesting. The calls are great. But maybe you are thinking about whether or not you need more than a quick call to us or an email to us to figure out what's going on in your financial life. If that's the case, if you're thinking about maybe engaging a financial planning firm, or maybe you want another set of eyes on your broker or your advisor, or maybe you're just sick of doing it yourself, well, then we encourage you to check out our sponsor, Facet Wealth. Now, Facet Wealth really does understand that money touches so many aspects of who you are and what you're doing in your big life plans. You know, it's not just a number at the bottom of a balance sheet or an investment rate of return. And this is actually something that I discuss in my book, that, you know, you're more than these numbers. The numbers, the money, it's a means to an end. It shouldn't be the end in and of itself. So if you are interested in finding a financial planning firm that puts your best interests first and delivers their advice by financial planners who are certified financial planners, you ought to check out our sponsor, Facet Wealth. Visit cbsaudio.com/Jill for 2 months free off your first year of financial planning with Facet Wealth. Okay, now let's get back to your questions. It is Emma who is on the line. What is it that brings you to our airwaves today, Emma?
My husband and I are very fortunate. We went from starting the year with a household income of $100,000, and we ended the year with a household income of $170,000.
Wow, wait a second. How did that happen? Did you change jobs, or did you get raises, or did you get bonuses?
So we both changed jobs at different points, and then my husband got a promotion a couple months into his new job also. So kind of a transition from being entry career professionals to just sort of being in that mid-level of our career that just happened to hit at the same time.
That's fantastic. How old are you guys?
I'm 28 and my husband is 30.
Okay. Do you have any kids?
We do not, and don't plan on having any for quite some time.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you're doing with all of your big time moolah with your 170 grand. So let's start with the basics. Do you have an emergency reserve fund?
We do, but it's been depleted due to a very sweet dog that we adopted that has had a never-ending string of health issues. So unfortunately, that's our priority right now, is rebuilding the emergency fund.
All right. So that's good. That's good to have a priority. Is there any debt that's outstanding?
The only debt we have is a very small car note of $7,500.
What's the interest rate on that?
It's 5%.
5%? Yowza.
Yes.
Okay. Gee whiz. All right. Now we're going to get rid of that. So far, I've got I'm hopeful that like all the money coming in will be used to number 1 and 2 concurrently, emergency reserve fund and the car debt. Do you guys rent or do you own?
We own a condo.
How much is it worth?
It's worth $475.
What is the mortgage that's on it?
About $410.
Do you know the interest rate?
2.85.
Yeah, no extra payments on that. Okay, good.
All right.
How about retirement plans? You've moved around with your job, so tell us a little bit about what you've done for retirement and where those monies are now residing.
So for my retirement, I have a 401k. I haven't looked at it for a few weeks, but I had $32,000 in there recently, and that's a mix, about half and half of Roth and then traditional. And then I have a very small TSP with $3,000 in it.
Okay.
And I'm contributing 10% Roth at the moment. And then my office will match 1.5%.
Okay. Now tell me about your husband.
Yeah, so he has a TSP with about $20,000 in it, and he contributes 5%, and his office matches 5%. And then he has a Roth IRA with $11,000 in it.
With all this contribution level at your current income, which is great, is there any extra cash flow right now after the dog stuff has been taken care of?
Yes, fingers crossed we're done with the expensive medical bills, and I think our cash flow should be about $2,500 extra dollars a month.
Is there anything else in your total asset base that I should know about? Is there a brokerage account in terms of like a non-retirement brokerage account?
There is not.
Okay. Anything else? Any parents to take care of? Siblings that are bust outs that are your responsibility?
No, we're very fortunate to have families that are all safe and secure and stable. So it's kind of just us. So I'm looking to spend this time kind of getting ourselves in line.
Okay, good. Mark, what should they do with their $2,500 a month? Should it all go to the emergency reserve or should it be split up? What do you think?
First, I would get the emergency reserve back to where they think it needs to be. And then once that happens, then I think both of them should increase their retirement contributions at work. If they have the Roth options, I would use the Roth options. And if that still leaves you with excess cash, which I'm guessing it will, then I would probably look at opening up a brokerage account.
What about paying down the car debt?
Oh, yeah. 5%. Yeah. After the emergency reserve, we got to get rid of that. Then I would do what I just said.
So here we go. Three-pronged attack for you guys. Number one, $2,500. How much do you think you need in an emergency reserve? Like, what's your actual expenses, do you think?
If we're being safe, I'd say like $5,000 a month.
All right. So all right. And you said there's like just a few thousand in there, or really zero?
It's a few thousand right now.
You know what you need to do? We need 6 months in emergency reserve. So you need 30 grand in there, right? And that'll be great. You'll bang that out, put it into the emergency reserve. I could almost live, like, honestly, how about this? How about $2,000 a month into the emergency reserve and an extra $500 on the car payment? Just because it's 5%, Mark, it's driving me insane. Let's get that paid down. Okay. So $2,000 a month in emergency reserve, $500. And when, the emergency reserve is built up, or if you get some sort of bonus you don't expect, get rid of that car debt ASAP. Then everything goes into emergency reserve until you get your 6 months in there. Then Mark's right. You got to increase your contributions to your retirement accounts and you'll be in great shape. You're young. You're really young. I think that my guess is, you said you're 28, he's 30. I think that probably by the end of this year, you'll have a lot of this stuff done, which is great. And then you'll increase your retirement contributions and you'll be ready to rock and roll. We'll get back to Emma in just a second. If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll get you on the air. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. This is the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life, not everything else, or maybe just helps you make better financial decisions or the next best decision. Sometimes you guys are in a pickle. I get it. Life does happen, and we are here to try to help you out of those tough times. So whether things are good or bad, whether you have a lot of money or a little money, just give us a holler. Go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we would be delighted to help you out. And really, I want to emphasize that it does not matter how much or how little you have, your age, the topic. If it's touching your financial life, then we care about it. And we want to be responsive to you and to your needs. So don't be shy. We are here. We're very friendly, and we would be delighted to bring you on the program with us. Right now, we are going back to Emma. She and her husband both got these big raises, and we got to talk about what to do with their money. Do you have any life insurance on one another, or does that come through work?
We have it through work.
Do you guys, when you say you 170 together, is it fairly split between the two about, or is one of you a larger wage earner than the other?
Oddly, we are evenly split, exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic. Do they need more than that insurance, Mark? Or what should they do if they're going to, like, maybe before she gets pregnant, they bump up the insurance, or what? How do you manage it if you really don't have a kid yet?
Once you know that, you're going to be planning for a family for sure, I think coverage through work is probably fine for now.
Yeah, that's what I think. And do you have wills?
We don't. And I have a question about that.
Let's go. Rock it.
Okay. So from a previous stint in a government job, I'd kind of been given the spiel on kind of what is like the normal process that things would follow. Say if I passed, the beneficiaries would go to parents, parents to siblings, et cetera, et cetera. If we're both in a position right now where we don't have any dependents, is the will just to say we leave each other everything?
So think about what you own together And let's go through that. So number one, you own a condo, and I'm sure you own it with jointly with rights of survivorship. So immediately, if one of you were to pass away, then that share that you own just passes by contract to the spouse. Okay. Same thing with the retirement accounts. That's the easy part. The more difficult part is just stuff. Stuff has to pass through a probate court. And the will literally says all the other stuff that doesn't pass by contract. So anything that's not retirement, not a retirement plan, and not a piece of property or a house or a condo, then all that other stuff just goes to my spouse. So that's it. It's very easy to do. It's kind of just part of the process. The only other thing that's important here is, that all of your beneficiary designations are up to date, because in some respects, your bigger risk is not so much like, oh, what happens if I die and then he gets everything, but more like if you both died together, where do you want your stuff to go? So make sure that those contingent beneficiary designations are up to date. And also that doesn't happen like with your condo. If I'm sorry to do this, very downer to do this, but like if you both die together, what happens to the condo? Where does it go? Who's going to get it? So that's what the will kind of contemplates. Now, the other thing is that a power of attorney and a healthcare proxy are two extra documents that are really important, and probably more important at this point in your life than anything else, because I'm not saying that you're going to die, but you could, step off the curb, have a bus hit you, and you break your back and you can't do stuff. And then you want to have a spouse who can make sure to basically do all the stuff for you on a financial basis. And if something really bad were to happen to you, you want to have a healthcare proxy so that you instruct your spouse or whoever you want to do the things you want to do to either maintain your life or not, whatever it is. So those are your three key documents. It's not very involved for you guys, though. It'll be very easy to do. You should just go to policygenius.com, and they have an estate planning module, and you can use it. It'll be cheap.
All right, I'm sold.
All right.
I was prepared.
Another happy customer. Anything else that we can do for you?
One quick question I had about the retirement contributions. If we're able to contribute Roth to our employer accounts, would there be any benefit to doing a Roth IRA contribution instead of the employer?
Definitely, because right now you guys are in, your top bracket is 22%. Okay. You're going to be in that bracket, probably not for that much longer. You're probably going to go up to the 24% bracket. But while you're still, at 170 to 200, I think that you're much better off using Roth. Do you agree, Mark?
Well, that I agree with, but I just want to make sure, were you asking, Emma, should you use the retirement plan at work or use a Roth IRA at a brokerage firm?
Yeah, because I can contribute, both of us can contribute Roth to both at very low cost funds. So I didn't know if there was an advantage of the 401k as opposed to a Roth.
I think the 401k, eventually, once you guys take care of all the other stuff, the emergency reserve and getting rid of the car debt, with the 401k, you could potentially contribute up to $20,500 to a Roth through your workplace retirement plan. If you just use a Roth IRA, you can only do $6,000.
And we'd rather you get there. So let's go. Listen, do me a favor. By the end of the year, check back in with us. I want to hear from you. And you're going to say to me, all right, I got the emergency reserve. The debt on the car is paid down. We're ready to increase our contributions. Like, just drop us a note. And of course, send us a picture of the dog, because we want to make sure that you get little props on the website.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you both. I appreciate this.
If you're lucky enough to get a big raise and need some help, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Jill on Money will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are answering financial questions, money questions, college questions, retirement questions, sometimes tax questions, lots of different questions. Here is a note from Jean, who writes, Love your show. I listen every morning on my walk with my sweet chocolate lab. Oh, by the way, Jean is listening to our daily podcast called Jill on Money. And if you would like to subscribe to that podcast, rather than listening to us once a week, you can listen to us once a week and then also every day. Just go to our website and you can subscribe to the Jill on Money podcast. Okay, so Jean goes on to write, one topic I have not heard you talk about is reverse mortgages. Are these a last resort only for retirement income? I know it depends on how much equity is in the house that you own and how it might affect your heirs, but do they ever make sense? My husband and I are not considering this, but I'm curious to get some advice on when, if ever, they could be used. I've never heard you advise someone to consider using one. Well, listen, of course, there is a use case for a reverse mortgage. It's just a very narrow case, and they're quite complicated. So, essentially, you're extracting equity in your home, but you're staying there, right? So you don't have to sell it to get the equity. And that's the power of the reverse mortgage. But as you note, they are predicated on your own age and the prevailing interest rates at the time. Now, maybe today, as interest rates are higher than they were a year ago, it is a good time to check out a reverse mortgage. But here's my real big piece of advice when it comes to these complicated products. Get an unbiased second opinion from an advisor, not just the person selling you the actual reverse mortgage, but someone who can analyze it and make sure that it is the best decision for you and maybe a spouse. Because as you know, these are complicated, and gosh, I would not want to make a mistake on something like your home, which is often the biggest asset you have. I hope that helps. Okay, it's Jill on Money. There's a whole nother hour left, so stay tuned. Go to our website, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to join us. We'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You are back. It's Jill on Money. It's hour number 2, and we are here answering financial questions, holding your hands, trying to help you figure out what is the next best thing that you can do in your financial life. If you would like to join us, all you need to do is go to our website, which I'm pretty sure you've already bookmarked. It's jillonmoney.com. Now, while you're on the website, you can, of course, sign up for our free weekly newsletter, and you can pre-order the upcoming second book by me, Jill Schlesinger. And that book is called The Great Money Reset, Change Your Work, Change Your Wealth, Change Your Life. In this book, I am identifying 10 bold steps that will allow you to turn chaos into opportunity. So if you're worried about the road ahead and want to know what to do, and you think you have a few assets and maybe that could be used better to your advantage, check out that new book and do go ahead and pre-order it. Okay, let's get to one of your questions right now. It's Kim from DC.
So Jill, my husband and I are discussing what to do about our living situation. You should
keep living. That's what I think you should do.
Yeah,
keep living.
Right. We're just juggling a lot of priorities right now.
Okay.
I don't know if we're being too conservative with our choices or if we're being prudent.
Okay. So Kim, tell us a little bit about yourselves. How old are you?
I'm 39.
How old is husband?
He's 41.
You have kids?
We have 2.
How old are they?
They are 15 and 9.
Living situation, you said. So you own a home now?
We just sold our primary residence. So we had an apartment right in downtown DC that we just sold. So we have the proceeds from that in a savings account right now.
Okay. How much are the proceeds?
$150.
And what are you going to do? Rent for a while?
We're renting, yes.
Just tell me what you're renting so I can try to put this in the frame of like what it would be comparing to for a house. So how much are you paying in rent?
We're paying $2,500 a month. Mm-hmm. We're in the suburbs, so it's a bit cheaper out here. and we have an 1,100 square foot 2-bedroom apartment.
Is that like teeny with 2 kids, or is that okay with 2 kids? How does it feel?
It's more space than we had downtown.
You were downtown, and now are you trying out the burbs? Like, I'm kind of intrigued by this. Like, or was it someone offered us a boatload of money for our place, let's just do it?
We wanted to qualify for in-state tuition for college because our 15-year-old will be going to college in just over 2 years.
So you're in one of those suburbs, either a Maryland or a Virginia suburb.
Right.
Okay, got it. So are you going to buy a house? Like, what's the game plan?
Eventually, we're renting for the next year. We just moved in here. So that's locked down for that time period. But then eventually we would like to buy again. We're just not sure what size mortgage we should get on our income. And our income is still going up. We expect it to go up in the next 2 years. So we might want to wait until that happens to make a decision versus making that determination off of what we're bringing in now. And then, of course, our son going off to college and tackling that.
Kim, how much do you earn, and how much do you guys earn together?
We earn $270.
And are you both contributing to retirement plans?
Yes.
Okay. Maxing out?
Well, we can't do that. So my husband is a highly compensated employee. He works for a business that has about 1,000 employees, but there's very low plan participation. So
do you know why? Because his cheapo employer has to give a match, and then they'll be able to boost participation.
Yeah, they do give a match.
And they still can't get participation up?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I won't ask too many questions. I don't want to be exposing you. So how much can he put away?
14.
But you're maxing yours out.
I don't have a workplace retirement plan, so I have been using IRAs.
Oh, you work for an organization that doesn't offer a plan, or are you self-employed?
I'm self-employed. So I do have a solo 401k. It's small because I just started it a few years ago. I learned about it listening to your show. And then
awesome.
We do our IRAs.
So if you look at your 270, he's putting 14 in the 401k. Are you both putting money into IRAs? Are you doing 6,000 each?
Yes.
Okay. And how much are you also doing in the solo 401k?
It's been about 5,000 to 10,000 for the year.
You have these 2 kids. Are you saving for college as well?
Yes.
What do you got? 529 plans?
They each have a 529 plan. Yes.
Okay. How much is in each of them? 15-year-old has how much?
Let's see. He has 115 in his. The 9-year-old has 90 in his.
Okay, this is fantastic. All right. What's the balance in all the retirement plan stuff? Do you have just sort of a ballpark number for what you have saved?
Right. So I just started a taxable brokerage account that I consider a retirement account just in case we can't do backdoor Roths anymore.
Okay.
And I purchased some I bonds that I think of as like our bond allocation for retirement. Okay. So if I take both of those plus the others that I mentioned, we have $390 in retirement.
Great. And where are all these accounts held? Where do you have your solo and the Roth? So where is that held?
Schwab.
And you're doing it yourselves. You don't have an advisor.
Correct.
Okay, good. All right. Now let's move on. What are we going to do about this house situation? Because I feel like $2,500 is actually pretty cheap. How much would it cost you to buy the home that you would want? Let's just, and again, you said it's at least a year from now. It could be 2 years from now. But what are we looking at in terms of a home in the future?
I think ideally, the mortgage size would be $600 to $650. We could bring it down from there if we went out a little bit further, if that's too much. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm coming down now. I'm looking at that size mortgage, and that scares me.
I know. I'm scared for you. And that would be like, are you thinking like you would have whatever, an $800,000 or $900,000 house?
Right.
Would you be willing to rent for longer?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what's the projected income increase that's on the horizon?
Yeah. So we have that you guys make $270,000 together. What do you think in 2 years that we're looking at in terms of income?
Probably in the 325 to 340 range.
So the goals are, let's pull this out. You want to educate these kids. You want to retire at some point. What else is another goal?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. So
Right
do you
now.
like my retirement at some point? Are
Yeah.
either of you, I'm presuming you're not, is your husband entitled to any pension?
No.
All right, Mark, what do you want to do? I mean, actually, the 529 plans are great. You said in-state because that was the whole point of moving to a place. What's the in-state tuition for 15-year-old-ish?
So assuming that tuition and fees stay about where they are now in 2 years, it should be about 125.
So you've got enough saved for 15-year-old, basically. I mean, you got to throw 10 grand in, but big deal, right? Okay. And so for the 9-year-old, you'd have to throw a little bit of extra money in there, but not too much more because that money will grow. So it feels like in your two goals, you're really set. The college is good. We'll get back to Kim's question in just a minute. If you'd like to join us on the air, go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Mark does all the rest. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger takes the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the show that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. Now, I know it's the beginning of the year, and this is often a time when people are reconsidering their relationships with their financial advisors, with their brokers. And if you find yourself in that camp, well, then I encourage you to check out our sponsor. Our sponsor is Facet Wealth. Now, Facet Wealth is a different kind of financial planning organization. Essentially, what they're doing is they are trying to figure out how to provide unbiased human beings that really take into account everything that you are, not just the numbers, not just a balance sheet, not just how much money you have to invest. Financial planning, they believe, should be about your needs. Whatever your circumstances, Facet Wealth believes you should have access to reliable, personalized financial planning that advocates for you and is offered for a fixed fee. If you would like to learn more, visit cbsaudio.com/Jill for 2 months free off your first year of financial planning. That's at Facet Wealth. So check it out, cbsaudio.com/Jill for 2 months free off your first year of financial planning. Now let's get back to Kim from DC. Mark, what do you think about the retirement where we are?
Well, I was going to ask, based on the current rent payment and all your other monthly expenses after you guys make your retirement contributions and 529 contributions, what's the cash flow looking like right now on a monthly basis?
It varies. We're saving. We generally spend about $7,500 a month, and our savings per month will vary $4,000 to $6,000 a month.
That's good.
That's a lot.
That's amazing. If you've got $4,000 or $6,000 a month, then you can actually afford the house. It's scary, but like you could do that right now. I'm kind of leaning towards you putting more money into this 401k also.
Are you doing a Roth solo or a pre-tax solo?
I'm doing pre-tax solo.
I mean, either way, I would probably do Roth, but either way, even if you are doing pre-tax, like I would max that out completely before you do the IRA contribution, because you can put away $20,500 in the Roth and the solo.
And we'd rather you do that, and you have the cash flow to do it. Okay, big picture. I think that what we'd like for you guys to be able to do is both of you to be able to put away $20,000 or so into your retirement accounts. Your husband can't, so he's doing 14 plus the back door. You should definitely do max out the 401k, your solo 401k. You really should. It's super easy to do it. And then with your extra cash flow, you can do so much more. I think that you can probably afford the house in a year. So that means those proceeds from the house cannot go anywhere. But my big question to you is, what are you going to do to get the down payment if you say, if you're going to buy a $900,000 house, you got 150 in proceeds. What else do you have that's floating around that could help give you a down payment on a $900,000 house?
So part of the reason we're renting for a year is we also own a townhome in the far out suburbs that's not commutable to the city that is a rental. We could sell
Buried
that
the lead.
as well.
Buried the lead on me. Thanks a lot. Made me sound like a dum-dum. Okay, Kim, how much is the townhouse worth?
It's worth $330 and we owe $195.
Did one of you live here? I mean, how did you come upon this?
Well, it was before the market crash in 2008. My husband lived there by himself. He bought really, really young, and it was a bad idea. So he's basically just floated it down and floated it back up.
Okay, so he's got 135 grand in equity. You guys have, and some of that would get eaten up with taxes. So there's essentially, are you going to sell it? Is that a done deal, or is it are you guys on board with that?
Yes, if we buy another place, we will sell that.
All right, so Mark. Here's what we got. We got the 150 with you're going to have to recapture some stuff. Has it been a legit rental? Like you've been depreciating it on your tax returns, et cetera?
Yes.
So let's just say you'll have 250 to put down. I'm just going to take 100 grand out of this. So you have 150 from the proceeds of primary. You have 100 grand from this. It'll probably be more than that. But let's just say you've got $250,000 down payment, right? Then you get that mortgage of your 650, right? And I think you can do this. How are the taxes in the place that you are living? Is it a high tax area? I imagine so, because usually people move to places that have good schools with high tax area, which is a high tax area.
It's probably considered a high tax area. I don't know any different because I've always lived here. So
Okay. I feel fine about this. And by the way, I mean, in a year from now, the market could be different, but you can't invest the proceeds from the primary residence till we figure out the house thing. You can do this in a year. Mark, are you okay with this in a year?
Of course, given their current monthly cash flow plus the projected increase in salary, having this mortgage is not going to be a problem, and they'll still be able to save for retirement.
Yeah, so I'm sort of feeling like, if it's a place you want to live, I thought you were moving just to test it out and make sure you like it. If I presume you like it and it's going okay, then start looking. In 6 months, start looking. Okay. In the meantime, you got the money, the proceeds, you're in good shape. You should be maxing out your 401k. I think you can do this. I totally think you can do this. You're saving a lot of money. I mean, and your expenses, $7,500 a month is not a lot in expenses for people who are making your income in a high cost of living area like the DC suburbs.
Okay. And I did want to ask one question about the retirement savings.
Okay.
As I plan, I sort of set a goal for us by the end of the year to save about $40,000. Does that sound like an appropriate target for us?
Yeah, 40 to 50,000, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And you're good. You got plenty of money. You're in great shape.
Once your husband's putting in his 14 and he's doing 6 in the IRA and you're maxing out your solo, then you can really turn your attention to the brokerage account.
Exactly. And then and the only reason why I would say that is that you might as well do as much, saving right now as you can, and you can make it liquid and you'll have availability. And look, you sound sort of nervous and stressed, and I wish you weren't, because I think you're okay. I really do. You don't seem convinced. What can I do to convince you? I really want you to feel a little bit better about this.
I am convinced. It makes me feel a lot better to hear you say that. It's just a weird feeling because we've made compromises for so long. And I think when you do that, sometimes you get complacent with making compromises and it's really hard to take the leap.
I feel good about it. I really do. Okay, let's do some down and dirty. You guys have some life insurance on one another?
Yes.
How much?
So it's a little lopsided because my husband out earns me. So he has $2 million and I have $700,000.
How about estate plan?
Yes, we've done that.
You got wills and all that stuff. Do you have any parents who you think you might have to take care of, or siblings or anything like that?
No.
Oh, you are self-employed. Do you have disability insurance?
I do, yes.
All right. Isn't it expensive?
It is.
I was just looking at my own disability insurance because I'm now old. Mark, I had to almost remind myself, Jesus, you're almost 60. Maybe you don't need to pay for the disability. And then I realized all those people who canceled their policies like within 5 years of like retirement, and they always get sick. Something horrible happens. So I won't let it happen to myself, but it is expensive, right?
Because you don't want to jinx yourself.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So, all right, Kim from DC, don't drive yourself crazy looking right now because you are a year away from doing this, right? So you're familiarizing yourself with the market, get in touch with the neighborhoods that you like, all that stuff. But beyond that, don't creep out and go on to Zillow every day. Just calm down. You're going to be in good shape. So you got a year. So like in 6 months or 9 months, you start looking. Okay. And call us back if you've got something big or something has changed that we didn't anticipate. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
If you have a financial question, we'd love to chat with you. All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com, jillonmoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. Don't forget to check the box that says you'd be willing to come on the air. We will be right back.
401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. I know it's the beginning of the year. You may have some financial resolutions. You might need some help with thinking about how to organize your priorities. Whatever is going on financially for you, we would love to help you out. The easiest way to contact us is to get onto our website, jillonmoney.com, jillonmoney.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, you just click on the Contact Us button. Complete the form, and then from there, Mark will do everything else. He'll get you on the program. It's so easy to do. So we really would love for you to do that. And maybe clear out some of the cobwebs. Maybe you were on vacation the end of the year. Maybe it's time to refocus on your money. We'll help you figure out what is the most important thing that you can do next to help fulfill your financial goals, right? It's yours, not ours, whatever you say. Okay, right now, let's talk to Michelle, who's on the line from Cleveland.
Hi, Jill. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
So I have a question about a Roth. So I'm just a little reluctant to do it because of our tax bracket that we're in. My understanding of it is that, I should be looking at what's my tax bracket going to be when we retire. And so right now, we are probably, I think we're going to go into the 35% tax bracket, my husband and I.
Hold on a second. How much do you guys make?
Together, it's about $465. And that's relatively new for us, I would say within the last year or two.
Okay, congratulations. That's a chunk of moolah, so good. Let's go and do a few bits of information. So how old are you and your husband?
So I'm 42 and he's 48.
And you guys are both working. Do you have children?
We do, yes.
How old?
10, 9, and 6.
Hello, busy woman.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, you're both using traditional retirement accounts?
Yes, we are.
How much money is in each of those retirement accounts, and are you contributing the max?
So we are contributing the max. In my current 401k, I have about $50,000. My husband's current 401k is about $40,000. But then my husband has a rollover IRA that's right at about $680,000. I have a rollover IRA traditional that's $215,000. My husband also has a Roth IRA that's $55,000. And then he has an old 401k that he hasn't rolled over yet that he needs to, and that's at $45,000.
Okay, that's great. That's all really good. That's a good chunk of money that you've socked away so far. So well done.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about any brokerage account, any money in non-retirement assets.
Yeah, so we have a Vanguard brokerage account. There's about 145,000 in that. Honestly, I'm putting a lot in it, about 8,000 a month. I'm trying to put in that every month. And then we have about 110,000 in cash. We have probably like 35,000 in just like company stock.
And how about any money set aside for the kids' 529 plans?
Yes, I've got about 60,000 total between the three of them. But I'm starting to bump that up because I realize we're probably be a little bit underfunded if I don't start contributing more.
Especially when 10 and 9 are in college at the same time.
Exactly, right.
Oof. Okay. How about a house? Do you own a home?
We do, yeah. Our home is worth, it's probably about 625, and we owe 290 on it. The interest rate's low; it's like 2%, but it is on a 15-year. We just refinanced it.
Does Ohio offer any benefit for using a 529 plan in terms of like state income tax deduction?
Yeah, I think we get $4,000 per child. I don't know if it's a credit or a deduction, but it helps.
Mark, what do you think? I mean, look, they're in a high tax bracket. Now, listen, with your deduction, even if you were, by the way, even if you were just taking a standard deduction at this point, your top bracket really isn't going to be 35. My guess is your top bracket's probably 32. Mark, do you want to make a pitch for Roth and see if you can convince Michelle and her husband to do something different?
You know me, it's a no-brainer for me. I would do Roth right now going forward. First of all, you guys already have a lot of pre-tax money. I mean, what's the total there, Joe? $1 million or so? More than that?
Yep. Yeah, 680, 8, 9, 950, and just over $1 million, like $1,050,000.
Yeah, you have a lot of pre-tax money. I would do the Roth now, lock in your future tax rate. You're going to have a lot of income when you are eventually retired based on your current numbers and what you're earning. It's a no-brainer to me. I wouldn't even think twice.
So here's the deal, Michelle. I mean, what Mark is saying is, I think is important to just point out. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do it all in one fell swoop. He's suggesting this. However, the idea would be that when you guys are forced to start taking money out of your accounts, that you could potentially be in a place where your required minimum distributions push you into a higher tax bracket. So I think it is worth at least considering. Do you have a Roth option through your current employers?
Yes, we both do.
I'll give you a little, maybe a splitting the difference. First of all, I think you need to put more money into your 529 plans. So I think I would probably do that instead of the brokerage. Just try to put more money away because you're going to have real expenses for these kids. And then the other thing is, if you don't want to do both of you do Roth, then what about if one of you were to do Roth? You're saving a lot of money. I think we just have to change the allocation of the savings so that it's great to be brokerage, but frankly, if you put some money in the 529 plan, some money in the brokerage, you're going to shift to at least one of you doing a Roth. I think that you really in good shape. And obviously in 2 years, your husband gets to put even more money away into your retirement accounts, right? Because then he'll be over the age of 50 and he can make that catch-up contribution. And I think you're really on track to kind of crank. We'll get back to Michelle in just a moment. If you've got a Roth question, we love those, especially Mark. He's Mr. Roth himself. Okay, it's Jill on Money. JillOnMoney.com is the website. Click the Contact Us button. We'll get you on the air. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions without judgment, I might add. We hate the judgy kinds of financial folks. That's not us. So right now, let's get back to our listener, Michelle, who's on the line from Cleveland, and we're going to be talking about a Roth. You know, look, you're right. It is a bet on future tax brackets. We don't know what those are going to be, but we do know that because you have all this money that's already saved, where you're going to have, you're going to end up having like $3, $4, $5 million in pre-retirement assets, really just, by the time you're 72, and I don't know what's going to happen to the tax code, but rates are overall, they're pretty low right now. So if you locked in at 32%, I don't know, you might be paying more than that later. You might be paying less, but you'll have some money where it's not forced that you take it out.
To me, that's almost like the bigger thing.
That you're not forced to take the money out with the required minimum distributions. So how do you feel about that?
I think that makes sense. I guess when I'm looking at it from a planning perspective, I'm always thinking, we're saving so much that we're probably going to, I think, what I've looked at, we could probably live on between 10 and 12,000 a month, like when we are retired. So I think I always look at it like, well, we're going to withdraw so much less from our accounts, which would put us in a lower tax bracket. But I haven't really thought about the required minimum distributions. I don't really know a lot about that.
So the way that works is when you get to age 72, you are forced to take money out based on your life expectancy. Okay. There is a uniform lifetime table where you essentially, let me give you the example here. So this is pretending that it's today, right? If you're age 72 today, the government says that you have to take out, are you ready? 3.65% of your account balance. All right. So Mark, run me a quick calculation. Like, let's pretend it's today and there's $5 million in the account. What's 3.65% of $5 million, since I just put my phone down to recharge?
That is $182,000.
All right. So think about this, Michelle. That's 180 grand right there. And then you would have Social Security on top of that. So that would be 210. So that's already, you're in the 24% tax bracket as of today. Okay. Now, it's not unlikely. I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's not unlikely that there's no 24% tax bracket. It's highly likely that, in fact, that there's, instead of a 22 and a 24%, that there's a 22, a 30, a 35, and a 40. And by the way, you then also have to pay a whole bunch of money for Medicare surcharge and all that stuff. And we don't know how that's going to change. As you get older, you have to take more and more out. So like at 72, your percentage of the account balance is 3.65%. By the time you're 80, it's about 5%. So just think about that. You're forced to take that money out no matter what. Now, again, you don't have to do it all, but Mark is correct in that it will be a chunk of money. And the difference of knowing and not knowing is that you take a risk on where tax rates go. We don't know. Today, it would be a different bit of advice, but in the future, I just don't know.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense.
You know how you eliminate that? I just don't know. You do Roth.
Yeah, but she's right. It is possible that Michelle and her husband, they have a whole bunch of money saved, but it could be that before required minimum distributions come in, that they start taking money out of these accounts and paying taxes. And they slowly but surely, before RMDs happen, that they try to manage it that way. That's a possibility. I don't want to make it sound like it's all or nothing. That's all. But it requires you to be way on top of this in the future.
Okay, that makes sense.
Can I ask you some other questions that always bother me, which are, the old story? Like, hey, how's the old estate planning? All set?
I knew you were going to ask that. So we're starting on it. We had not done anything, which shame on us. But yes, we just started through, my husband has like a service through his work.
Awesome. That's great. I think that's, so I'm glad that people feel shame when they call and they know that they need to do that. So thank you for admitting it. And also, I want to be clear that this is something for you that is 100,000,000% more important than Roth versus traditional worries. You know, it's so much more important. You got 3 little kids, dude. What are you thinking?
I know.
What about life insurance?
So I have a policy. It's 600,000. I probably
Not
should-
enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. You need at least $1 million and probably $1 million each. What do you think, Mark?
At minimum, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Go to Policy Genius and go play with their calculators, or just go to lifehappens.org or whatever. You know, get some insurance. It's cheap to get. You're young, you're healthy. Let's do it.
Got it. I will do that. Yep, we're on it. I get some through my employer too. And that's what my husband does. He buys through his employer. So
Okay. Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's pretty cheap right now. So I'd rather go and buy more than I need than less than I need. Okay, if you've got a Roth question, we want to answer that question. We love the Roth questions. And if it's anything else financial, we'd love to hear from you. All you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button. It's in the upper right-hand corner. And don't forget to check the box that says you'd like to come on the air live. Then Mark can do everything else. Jill on Money, we'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. It's the end of the show, so that means we're going to take an email. And this is from David. David writes, I am 70 years old and retired. Does it still make sense for me to convert IRAs to Roth accounts if I'm in a 20% tax bracket? I'm thinking this sort of change is for a much younger person. Oh, David, I am so going to encourage you to get on the air with us because we'd love to hear more about your particular situation. Sometimes it can be really quite advantageous, regardless of your age, to know what your tax liability is going to be on these accounts. For example, you're 70. You could live for 20 more years. The only issue that is really clear for me is that tax rates are probably going up during your lifetime. I can't say when, but I think they will. And I also think what's important is that not everyone should convert. So the flip side of that is if you don't have a lot of liquidity, if you don't have a lot of money to pay the tax that would be due with a conversion, then no, we wouldn't actually think that's the right thing for you. But this is so dependent on your specific circumstances. So please give us a holler. We'd love to get you on the air and we can talk about it more. Okay, that is it. That is the show. And we have been so delighted to start the year off on such a strong foot. If you would like to get on the air with us live, all you need to do is go to our website, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button, and Mark will do everything else. He's so good like that. While you are on that website, I encourage you to sign up for our free weekly newsletter and also to pre-order the new book. It's called The Great Money Reset. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Boy, if this isn't the right book for a new year, I don't know what is. I want to thank you all so much for listening today. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer. And as always, we encourage you to do something nice for someone else today. We'll chat with you next week. Thanks for being here.